Welcome to the news on NTA International. I am Magnus. Now the headlines. President Tinubu in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania for Energy Summit. Africa heads of state targets 300 million people out of business. President Trump dashes help of immigrants waiting for admittance in Belarus for asylum program. American President NTAi and Nigerian Home International efforts intercept concerning Belarus for export to President Bola Tinubu has departed Abuja for Dar es Salaam, Tanzania to participate in the Africa Heads of State Energy Summit 2025. State House correspondent News Gordon Wahab reports that the summit, hosted by the government of Tanzania in collaboration with the African Development Bank Group and the World Bank, aims to advance Mission 300, an initiative to provide electricity access to 300 million people in Africa by 2030. Here are highlights of the Energy Summit presented from our studios.
African leaders, private sector leaders, development partners, and civil society groups will strategize to accelerate energy access across the continent. The summit will provide a platform for sharing knowledge, expertise, and resources to address Africa's energy challenges. Discussions will focus on accelerating energy access in underserved regions, renewable energy, energy efficiency, and mobilizing African sector investment. On the first day, at the ministerial level, participating countries, including Nigeria, will present their national energy strategies, termed compacts, detailing their approaches to achieving universal energy access within 5 years. On the second day, heads of state will endorse the Dar es Salaam Energy Declaration, outlining a unified roadmap for Africa's progress towards the Mission 300 objectives. President Tinubu will deliver a national statement reaffirming Nigeria's commitment to achieving universal access to energy and its leadership role in Africa's energy sector, and highlight Nigeria's ongoing clean energy initiatives and its strategy to drive integrated energy delivery on the continent.
And joining us now in the studio to discuss further on the Energy Summit is the President Governing Council, Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency Associations Alliance, Professor Magnus. Professor, you're welcome to NTA International.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Well, this summit will be a gathering of African leaders and the major experts in the energy sector. What are the expectations of Nigerians?
Yeah, I'm glad that renewable energy efficiency sources as an alternative source has become a mainstream investment. For Nigeria to be active with respect to energy access and security, we should look at the alternatives, that's the renewable energy efficient sources. And of course, natural gas is also considered as a clean energy that will also help us to finance our sustainable future. So it's interesting that Mr. President is taking the lead, going there. But it's not about going there to do all the talk and all that. We'll come back home and the expectations, we look forward to one, with respect to, let's have the President to ensure that we use local naira to finance projects on renewable energy because of the volatility of the dollar, the international currency. So if you need to develop, encourage the local developers, we should begin to look at how to localize our projects, use local naira to finance this renewable energy access. Number two, we should begin to look at the technical assistance, build capacity across the value chain. It's not that when we come back home, we expect Mr. President to, let us be intentional about ensuring that we build capacity, local capacity, in order to have this energy access and security across the value chain of renewable energy in terms of engineering, engineering, credit writing, climate financing, all these opportunities. Nigeria need to have capacity, but with respect to developers and entrepreneurs. Number 3, we will look at payments, payment mechanisms. Payment mechanism to ensure that renewable energy expansion is guaranteed. It's very, very upfront costs have been a challenge. Look at, the developers need to have a mechanism, a payment mechanism that will be risk averse. So, and even with respect to, yes, we have agreed that natural gas can be used to finance our future. Let's have a policy for social acceptance. Social acceptance of natural gas. What I still look at, the people still look at from the dimension that is not, in terms of, that is not that clean. But within the context of, COP26, that was at Glasgow. Natural gas was chosen as a clean energy to finance our sustainable future. So Nigeria has a huge reserve of it. So we have, the opportunities are there right now. Renewable energy efficient sources is a mainstream investment, and until we interrogate those, the risk that we see into it, I think it's a win-win situation for Nigeria. Nigeria must take the lead now. And I'm very, very sure that that Mr. President, when he comes back, will sit down to begin to encourage indigenous developers and entrepreneurs within the space. Let me tell you, we are talking about rural access. With those 300 million Africans that are supposed to have energy access, majority of them are in the rural areas. So we are looking at off-grid mechanisms. We're talking about this solar or wind. We're talking about off-grid mechanisms. And I believe that once government is intentional about providing the enabling environment for the private sector to come in, energy access and security will be assured, yeah.
Okay, Prof. The issue of clean energy is a climate change issue, and one of the present administration's project, by the way. How do you think the president should present this at the global summit to elicit the support of other leaders?
See, we are looking at climate change as a monster. When you have a decarbonized technology, we can get our natural gas through the technology that is clean. I sincerely believe that with the emerging technology in the world today, even though, yes, natural gas is not, but it's getting to 80% clean. But within the context of Nigeria, we cannot dispense natural gas. What I'm saying is that we should begin to have a decarbonized technology. At the end of the day, you will you remove the pollution as source. And of course, I look forward to a situation where government should key into the mechanism, the carbon market mechanism, where and incentivization mechanism, whereby you are going into these renewables, and the essence of that is to reduce emission. For 1 megawatt solar you have deployed, there are XYZ emissions you have reduced in the system. And that process, you can also earn additional revenue by going into the market, compliance or voluntary, as the case may be. So what I'm saying is that government thinking through these alternatives, they welcome development. Okay. We're thinking about as against the conventional, what we call the non-renewable source. It's a win-win situation for us, yeah.
Okay, Prof. You have been an advocate of alternative energy. Do you see this advocacy taking major position at this summit?
Look, this is the finest moment for Nigeria. Yeah. Like I said, political leadership. I want to thank the current President Tinubu. We now have, beyond the Electricity Act. That Electricity Act, over 90% of the production of that act is on renewable energy. Go and check it. So that shows kudos to the president and his team for giving us that act and giving the subnational the opportunity to now begin to the freedom to go beyond the oil and gas to look at the alternative sources of energy. So it's a win-win for us. And I believe that the moment we take more emphasis on the alternative sources, that's the renewable energy and energy sources, the issue of course, off-grid mechanism, so to speak, the issue of energy access and security is assured. Like I said, what the most important thing, let us come back to the basics. Do we have the capacity? We don't like what happened to oil and gas to happen us, let's develop capacity development, capacity across the value chain in this clean energy sector. As well as, like I said, the upfront costs, government should be intentional about want to use the local naira to source, to encourage the developers in the community to enable them to invest in the. So I have up to 10 risk interventions that government will do. I'm ready to place it to the knowledge of policymakers to enable us to have this energy security. But yes, I want to thank the government for taking leadership. There's the Climate Change Act now. There's the Electricity Act. There's the Energy Transition Plan. Policy and regulation are in place now, and I think the private sector will take the opportunity to
Thank you so much. Thank you, Professor Magnus Onuoha, President, Governing Council, Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency Associations Alliance, for your insights tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, man.
And moving on, migrants waiting to formally gain admittance into the United States have their hopes dashed as President Trump halts the asylum program. Let's join Kolo Mohammed for more.
After 13 years in Hong Kong as a refugee, John received tickets that will grant his family new lives in the United States, only for them to be snatched away by a stroke of the pen by President Donald Trump. Trump's executive order to suspend all refugee admissions and halt the US Asylum program was signed hours after taking office. He left adrift dozens in the Chinese city approved for US resettlement.
Maybe 50-50, and we never know, anything can happen. And it was around 5-something, we just say, let's see, hour by hour, then we got the call from IOM informing us they got the call from Washington, they had to cancel every flight into the US. Not only us, there's so many people.
Lo and behold, the other client calls and says, hey, my flight ticket has been canceled. That's when I would say a bit of panic set in, because I thought, this is the first one, and I know there's a whole train of people waiting. And then I called up the institutions that are involved, which is the IOM and the UN, and they confirmed my worst fears. Yes, this is an executive order for 90 days. There's no changing that.
It's very sudden. We will think that maybe it might take maybe 1 month, 2 months, and then people will be, like the people who have already got their tickets, they might be going, and let's see for the people who was work. But no, it wasn't like that. They didn't consider the people with the tickets. So I think we were worried about it, but we didn't know that it was coming in this way.
In other news, fighting between the army and M23 rebel group has further forced more civilians to flee their living abodes, bringing more people out of their comfort zones into the streets, ravaged by the absence of basic necessities for daily healthy life and living. This brought divergent people to a life of absence of daily needs, replete in daily struggle for survival. Women and children, the aged, alongside domestic animals, struggle to eat or drink from the same sources. As the journey to no defined destination continues, the idea is to get as far away as possible from the warring parties. Even the non-essential United Nations civilian staff and their families are being evacuated to safety as the fighting grows bigger. Kolo Mohammed, NTA News.
Belarusians began voting on Sunday, with President Alexander Lukashenko expected to gain victory unchallenged for the 7th term, prolonging his 30-year rule. Again, Kolo Mohammed tells us more.
Polls opened at 8 a.m. in Minsk's presidential vote since Lukashenko suppressed mass protests against his rule in 2020. President Lukashenko has been president for 30 years, now contesting unchallenged, automatically extending 3 decades of rule as a leader of Belarus. This made questions asked if he was holding brief to hand over to a son of his in due time. To this, he responded, none of his sons want to or will take over from him as president of Belarus. An exiled Belarusian opposition leader called the election a farce, as the incumbent has crippled opposition's ambitions and jailed staunch politicians whom he felt uneasy about, thereby heading to the polls unchallenged. After describing the process as brutal democracy, President Lukashenko went in to cast his ballot to extend his 30-year reign as president of Belarus. Kolom Hamad, NTA.
Let's take a break now. More reports shortly. Thanks for joining us again. The head of the Civil Service of the Federation, DD Esther Walser-Jack, has reaffirmed Nigeria's unwavering commitment to global public service excellence. She stated this during a visit of Nigerian delegation to the United Nations Development Programme UNDP Global Center for Technology, Innovation and Sustainable Development in Singapore. A statement by the Director, Information and Public Relations Office of the head of the Civil Service of the Federation says Walser-Jack highlighted the importance of collaboration in advancing public service development in Nigeria, which underscored the eagerness to learn from Singapore's exemplary civil service, renowned worldwide for its efficiency, transparency, and innovation. Walser-Jack acknowledged Singapore's achievements in public sector transformation, noting that the Nigerian delegation is eager to draw inspiration and insights from Singapore's successes to drive impactful challenges in Nigeria's civil service. She expressed gratitude to the UNDP in Nigeria for organizing the visit, noting that the delegation's visit reflects Nigeria's commitment to implementing reforms and building partnerships to enhance the effectiveness of its public service. President Bola Tinubu condoles with the government and people of Enugu State over the fuel tanker explosion, which resulted in the loss of lives on Saturday. The fuel tanker reportedly spiraled out of control and burst into flames, which, while navigating the Ugonyama section of the Enugu-Onitsha Expressway. President Tinubu commiserates with the families of the deceased and the injured and prays for the repose of the souls of the departed and quick recovery for those receiving medical treatment. The President calls for caution and adherence to safety measures among road users, particularly fuel tanker operators. Furthermore, he directs agencies enforcing traffic rules to implement measures to prevent recurring fuel tanker explosions nationwide. And operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, have intercepted a consignment of loud packet for export to the United Kingdom at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Ikeja, Lagos. The agency also recovers opioids and assorted weapons in raids across Lagos, Ekiti, Kwara, and Kano states. Sawa Khalil Ibrahim brings us details.
6 parcels of the psychoactive substance with a gross weight of 3.50 kilograms were concealed inside a duvet. 2 suspects linked to the bid to export the consignment to the United Kingdom were promptly arrested following the discovery by NDLEA officers on Tuesday, 21st January 2025. Additionally, 2 suspects were arrested at Ikorodu area of Lagos when NDLEA operatives raided their hideout in the community, where 7 liters of scooches, a new psychoactive substance. Other exhibits seized from the suspects include 3 locally made double-barrel rifles and 1 locally made double-barrel pistol, among other ammunition. In Ekiti, a suspect was arrested by NDLEA officers on Thursday, 23rd January, with 1.950 kilogram Canadian loud, while another suspect was nabbed by operatives on Monday, 20th January, in Kwara State with different assortment of illicit substances. And in Kano, a Nigerian alongside 2 others were arrested by NDLEA operatives at Gidan Tamburawa, Kano. 125 liters of Sokandai, a new psychoactive substance, were recovered from them. In Dawakin Kudu Council area of Kano State, a cannabis plantation was located and destroyed by a team of NDLEA officers who arrested a suspect linked to the farm. In Abuja, Salwa Khalil Ibrahim, NTA News.
Yoruba State is pioneering the implementation of agroclimatic resilience in semi-arid landscapes. ACROSOL, a World Bank-assisted project with the disbursement of more than $2 million to 101 communities and farmers groups under the community climate resilient component of the project. The intervention aims to combat climate change-induced poverty among farming communities by promoting sustainable agricultural practices with financial backing. Yunusa Sullivan reports.
ACRISOL's Community Revolving Fund is a subcomponent under Community Climate Resilience that aims to empower local communities by making funds available to boost agricultural productivity for enhanced food security. To achieve this goal, more than 2.5 million in interest-free loans has been disbursed to 101 communities and farmers groups to catalyze sustainable agricultural growth, improve livelihoods, and promote climate resilience among rural communities in the state.
We gratefully appreciate you for this kindly gesture, and I assure you it will be utilized to the fullest.
The first tranche of the Community Revolving Fund that the federal government of Nigeria and the 19 northern states and FCT came together to take facility from the World Bank for the purposes of uplifting the poor and the downtrodden was well executed in Yobe.
The CRF will support only profitable, sustainable, and climate-smart projects, that is agricultural farmers and enterprise groups.
In line with our policy on youth empowerment, I have directed the allocation of 4,825 slots out of the total 7,340 slots to the youth for maximum engagement and benefit of the Community Revolving Fund Loan Program.
In a pilot phase, 10 communities in Damaturu and Guru local government areas received $25,000 each last year, demonstrating the World Bank's commitment to reducing global poverty indices through targeted interventions. In Damaturu, Yunusa Suleiman, NTA News.
And stakeholders in the transportation industry are happy that the ongoing reforms in the sector are already yielding results across the country. Addressing a new conference in Abuja, National President of the Heavy Duty and Haulage Transport Association of Nigeria, Emmanuel Osibeme, said the current drop in food prices nationwide is a fallout of the strict regulation by the federal government by eliminating multiple taxation on haulage businesses. He urged Nigerians to support the new tax reform bill before the National Assembly to address various challenges associated with taxation in Nigeria.
Experiencing multiple taxation on the federal highways. So if our President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, have said he's going to be addressing the issue of double taxation, meaning that he has really come to address the issue that has been challenging us as transporters in this country. And we will not fail to commend his effort. We will not fail to thank him for doing that.
Our mission is to make sure that Nigerians enjoy the benefit of democracy. Now, initially, they are selling a bag of rice, 100 and something thousand naira last 2-3 weeks. But now it's 80,000 naira. That means the president is working. Please, I want to appeal, let's continue to support him.
And next is weather update for Monday in Nigeria and some other parts of the globe.
The news ends right here. Thanks for your company. I am Mina Daniels.